Greetings and salutations, my fellow Illumineers. It is me, your boy JDZ, and we are back at you again with another high-profile Lorcana contest between two of the game's greatest players. But I'm not alone today. In the booth, in the building with me today, JDZ and YBreeZ. Going to take it home. Talk to him, YBreeZ. How you feeling? Are you ready? Are you motivated? Are
Ooh,
you captivated? Talk to me about this
I
matchup. Talk to me about yourself. Talk about what's going on, baby.
I am so excited to watch these two monsters take on. And the first deck, the what we will talk about in the future, I'm
Uh-huh.
very familiar with. I love this. I'm really
Absolutely.
looking forward to what's going to happen. I'm really looking forward to the matchup. And first of all, it's an honor to do this with you. This is one of the biggest competition with the biggest players in the world, and I can't wait to see what happens in this matchup.
Oh, I'm here for it. I'm all here for it. But let's go ahead and do it. Let's hop on into the decks. So we have this is round number 4. We have Amber Steel versus Emerald Amethyst. And first, we'll talk about the Amber Steel strategy. I'll let you take it away. We got DeCandio who rolled this thing out. We have the Mine Train, very low to the ground,
Two,
very
two.
aggressive Steel Song variety. I haven't seen a deck like this, and he dipped to the Spice Tank, brought out. Go ahead and tell us about his deck, what he's trying to do, and what his path to victory is going to be in this contest.
Absolutely. I mean, you did basically the job. Go hard early, go wide, and whenever we need to deal some damage, guess what? We're bringing our boys to the mine because they're yearning for the mine, and we're gonna take them do some 2 damage at a time. And then we have a lot of reload options whenever we do throw up our hand into the board. Whenever we need to get that W, we got Doc to get draw two. We got the Rapunzels, and we got our songs to draw our cards. And who's gonna sing them? Well, our turn one drop. Cinderella's gonna sing those
Mm.
songs to draw us that card. And we got options. We got removal options, which a lot of aggro decks don't really have. And we got draw tools, which aggro decks don't have. And the Candio special offers both of those things. And I'm a big fan of this deck. And once it goes wide, it's hard to stop.
I'm a big fan of this deck for another reason. It's very elegant. It's very clean. Whenever you see one of these Dreamborn deck lists and it's just got 2 columns on it with all 4s across the board, you know that
Oh
somebody's
my
cooking.
god.
And DeCandio is a player that I have been kind of following for a while. I am becoming a fast fan of this player because not just their actual ability to play the game, but their ability to craft these decks and to put them together. Oh my goodness, he absolutely has the spice and he absolutely is in tune with the metagame. So if you're not following this person on Dreamborn and seeing what their decks are doing, especially at the beginning of these sets, he's always going to have something cool. He's always going to have a nice template for you to build upon. And this strategy is doing it. Like I said, it's super low to the ground. It's very aggressive, got a lot of removal, has a lot of in game. But you see, there's no Ariel, there is no Whole New World, there is no Gaston, there's none of those big things that Amber Song is kind of known for. He kind of went away from that, low to the ground, aggressive. We're leaning on Lilo, we're leaning on Pluto, we're leaning on Rapunzel, and we're going to go after and get to the absolute dubs. But I think the deck is great, and I think the player is even better. So we're going to see what we're going to do. But next, let's hop on in and see what Earl's cooking. We're going to check out
Early boy.
Earlmeister's deck. Okay,
The
Earl,
Mombasa.
the Mamba Fasa. It's called. Okay. So he's playing the Mamba Fasa strategy and talking to Earl Meister in some of the previous rounds. He's saying that this deck is trying to control the board with tempo and aggression. He's really not too concerned with removing too many characters, but he's all in on trying to put bodies on the board, start questing them, and make you try to challenge him. Again, I know this strategy. I don't know if he's going to continue to stick with this strategy based on some of the things he said. Some of the weaknesses, I think he's kind of identified that this deck has a hard time removing characters from the board, and I think that DeCandio is going to be able to exploit that a little bit. So, talk to me about this strategy. I know you like a little Mamba Fossa yourself, a little Red Fossa. Talk to me about this deck and what Earl is going to try to do to outwit DeCandio in this matchup.
For sure. I mean, in the sense, the both decks want to go wide, but Mamba Fasa needs to be able to control that board because DeCandio has a lot of tools that are going to quest a lot faster than the Mamba Fasa can. So he's going to take all that mid range role to basically create that removal, which unfortunately he doesn't have a lot of tools for. But if he does get the options to get that card draw with the 4 Genie addition into the deck, which is one of the best cards in the set, obviously, he has a chance to stop that bleeding early and take over in the later rounds. Because once it gets to those the Elsa, if the Elsa can start coming on the board, I think
Mm.
that's where the Earlmeister can really start shining and kind of take over the game. But the biggest problem is, can he make it that far? Because the Candio's decks will not want to see that far in the first place. And The chances are I don't know who's gonna get this, but he just needs to be able to control the board early because if not, the Candy is gonna start accelerating at a rate that unfortunately the Amethyst tools just can't get rid of. Unlike the Amber Ruby deck that we see the classic Mufasa setup in, especially with the new tools like Rhea and Judy Hopps being able to
Mm.
trade those characters, you can control the board later on. But
But
this one,
one thing I will say about this Earlmeister deck that he does have going for him is that he does have a lot of high health characters, and he can
yeah,
survive. A lot of decks can't survive that turn one, put Cindy down. In turn two, sing a song. A lot of decks can't play through that. I think this deck can at least with Olaf and with some of the high willpower characters, he can kind of resist that play a little bit. But all he has to do is just go wide, and those Strength of the Raging Fire are absolutely going to come in and do some heavy work. So we just got a few more seconds, and we should be ready to start. I just want to make sure before we kick this thing off, I want to make sure that the stream is going live before we fire this bad boy up, and then we're going to reach out to the players and be ready to go. And I think. Let me check on this. Let me check on to the Twitch. Shout out to everyone. We have a 10-minute delay on this thing, so shout out to everyone in the future, all the future people. Hello, we're
I
coming to you from the future. All the people in the past, get into the comment section
oh,
and let me know who you guys think is going to win and who has the advantage. And also tell me what you think about both of these strategies before we're about to get this thing started. So with that, let's go ahead and get. I think it's time. Are you ready? Why
time.
Breezy?
I am born ready for this. I cannot wait to see who's going to come on top. Obviously, we're a little biased when it comes to who we want to see. As you can see, you got the USA hoodie, got the USA jersey. We know who we want to see, but I cannot wait to see the action, man.
And let's do it just like that. The players are loaded up. Oh, let me fix my screen. Oh my goodness, my screen kind of got away from me a little bit. Oh, should have been cooking this whole time. We're doing it
One of
live.
the cards that I didn't mention that I mean, my personal favorite of the card of the set is what DeCandio is running. Obviously, everything's a 4 but is the Calhoun. It's genuinely one of the biggest pieces in the Amber Steel aggro strategy is that extra unresponsive 2 lore that it can gain by just challenging something and banishing it. Which with that 3/2, it's gonna do a lot of that. Which is going to see really clutch in a scenario where Olaf is just basically a free 2 lore with no damages on board. So it's just a fantastic tool.
Oh yeah.
And cannot wait to see what happens. Two of my favorite cards in the set is playing for both sides, Calhoun and Genie. Genie is a fan favorite of all, but I cannot wait to see what happens in this.
All right.
And
And we are back. It should be cleaned up now. Sorry about that. I had some little situations going on with the stream, but we're gonna cook it live. No big deal. As we are
live show. All right.
as we're getting ready, we got a little dice roll going on, and according to the green chalk around Earlmeister, it looks like that they have won the dice roll, elected to go first, obviously. So, like we said in the intro, it looks like he's just gonna try to get down early. Put some bodies on the board, go as wide as possible, and try to avoid getting all of his characters removed with all these songs that DeCandio has. So there's going to be a race for width on this one, and can Earl survive is going to be the answer to the. It's going to be the answer to the question. Can he survive? Can he outlast? Can he somehow outgrind? And also, I want to see what these Rapunzels are going to do. Who's going to play the
Absolutely.
Rapunzel and get the most value from it? Is DeCandio
Ooh.
going to leave some damage on these characters and get some value out of it? Will Earlmeister do the same? So it's going to be a super interesting matchup, and I'm completely here for it as we are into the draw phase. Yo,
Both players are trying to find that perfect curve. Both players are trying to find that 1, 2, 3 drop. Because knowing the matchup, they gotta figure it out. And DeCandio has again one of my favorite cards being that Daisy Duck. She might be one of the best first drops in the game, if not the best.
mm.
Uh, and I'm looking forward to what happens with it.
And it's gonna
And
go.
what
It
do you
goes
think
well in this
about the
matchup
curve?
because he's gonna have a hard time getting those 4 bodies off too. DeCandio, he has a
Mm-hmm.
lot of 4 resist in there. He's got those Lilos in there that can keep coming back. He's got those Plutos in there, so he's setting up now. And it looks like Earl is shifting that Moana and that Wendy, Captain Wendy, back to the Sinback pile. We're holding on to the both Elsa's. It looks like, or is that the Sinback pile? I don't
I
know.
think
This
that's the standby pile. I think you want to keep the early characters on the Wendy being one of them. It's just one of those cards that you want to see. It's a 1/3 with the 2 lore. It's just gonna offer that erase if that comes to be about because they know their deck list, they know what they're about, and it's just being able to keep up and make sure that you're in the game and not 18-0 behind while it's turn 5.
so
So you
you
want to see those 2 lore cards because with the 3, like you said, mine is not an answer. You have to either a string of Raging Fire with 3 characters, and if that's something you want to waste a resource, I don't know. And those are the questions that the DeCandio has to answer if to be successful in this matchup.
Oh, 100%. And he has to be really careful with those mines too, because Earl's guys are kind of buff. They're not weak. They're not
They're big
weaklings.
boys.
They're big. They're pretty buff. So they can come after that mine. It only has that 6 in the willpower area. So he can take that mine out. So DeCandio has to be very responsible how he puts the mines out. He's got to be very responsible what he leaves sideways to prevent getting Rapunzel out of the game. He's got to be very mindful of his songs and how he put. It's gonna be a pretty interesting matchup. It could just be a blowout, but I think in Earl's deck, I know he's had some pretty terrible matchups up to this point. But if this isn't a favorable matchup for you, you definitely might want to just consider just de-sleeving that deck right away, put it back into the binder, and just bring something else in for set 6. If you can't have a good matchup here, then I think it
Yeah.
might be time to let this one go. I really do.
It's one of those matchups where, like, can your deck be aggro? And if the answer is no, maybe we gotta go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, back to the kitchen.
And it happens. It happens. Sometimes you make a meta call and it just doesn't work. Everyone's done it. It's part of the card game experience. We got the turn 1 Daisy. I mean, it doesn't get better than that for DeCandio, right? It's just the best turn 1, going fast.
As a Daisy is down, but you do have to be careful with that Daisy as Earlmeister's playing 56 characters in the deck. So when that Daisy quests, you're probably going to get some value from it. And that could be the Foxes. That could be the Elsas. That could be as the hand. Oh my goodness. Look at that hand.
Oh my
Look at
god, that's
the
exactly what we want to see
Oh
if
no.
DeCandio. Quest
No.
for 2, of course, gonna grab it. I mean, the chances are you're not gonna see friends on the other side at the top. So it's just a free draw for Earl, which is a good thing. But will those cards that you're drawing help by the time you can play them is the biggest question in this scenario.
Yeah, and fortunately, you will get some Daisy plugs in there, and those should give you more characters, which can turn into ink. But right now, your hand is looking miserable as you sent a huge exchange back in your Mulligan phase and drew so many more uninkable cards. This
Mhm.
has kind of been the tale of Earl's life here in this LCCC, as his deck has just been doing him zero favors. I don't know what's going on, who cursed him or whatever. He made too many deals with the
And the
Shadow Man.
worst
I don't
part
know what's
is
going on.
he's playing 14 uninkables. He's not playing like 22 or something like too much. He's only playing 14. He's drawing most of them. It's just the card game gods not wanting to smile on you sometimes, and it's part of it. It is what it is.
As the Candio is
But
going to go ahead and put that Cinderella into the inkwell, electing not to deploy that unless he's got another one in hand. He might put it out. So Cinderella is down, and now that Strength of the Raging Fire is looking quite buff. So you have nobody to hit with it, but when it's time to deploy it, it will be ready. As you do get to a 3-drop, you have 2 ink and no, oh my goodness, you might have to get that Windy Darling going and just vibrate spectacularly and hope that's going to be good enough, as it will be able
but
to
the problem
withstand the
is
strength right now.
it won't, because there's a Lilo on play and potentially a Pete, but I don't think Pete is a like it's a card that's going to play because there's no actions in the
Hmm.
first place. But like, see, that just becomes kind of an ink. So Lilo on board. Now we got Stranger of Raging Fire. Guess what, Wendy? You're out of the game. See you later. But
Yeah,
seeing that Fox, they see that Fox is a good punish. But right now he might not have nothing on board next turn. So
nothing to
is that
balance.
something that? Yeah, it's just a scary situation where Fox kind of just rots in your hand, and that's something that you never want to see your Fox do.
Oh, this is so bad. And I think if he'd have came out early and if he would have had some curve, he would have had a 1-drop or a 2-drop, I think this
And
game would
there
be a
we
little bit
go.
better. But right now, you've gotten off of your timeline and your tempo is just so low. You're almost out of the game already, just
It's a
after a few
nightmare
unfavorable,
situation.
yeah, after very few unfavorable turns. You get peated and then draw the friends on the other side. Oh no,
Oh,
how miserable is that? Oh my goodness.
M- Murphy's Law has come to tuition right here, ladies and gentlemen. It's just one of those things where once everything what can go wrong will go wrong, and this is what's happening right now to Earl.
That is so insane. Like he plays 4 actions, you get peated, and then you get hit by an action as
You
the Candio.
draw it. Crazy.
The Candio has to just be like, okay, this is just almost unfair. As you have 2 cards left in
But
hand, you have a bunch going on. If you can break this board and not get Rapunzeled, you might be able to crawl back into this. You are not out of this thing by a long way.
absolutely. Right now, I mean, once the characters are out of the board, your hand is the Candio's hand is kind of just empty. Like the 2 locations is fantastic, but like it's not going to offer much in a scenario where you need 16 more lore. And if Earl can get rid of this board, which he just needs to find inkables. he might, and that's where things get a little real spicy for Earl.
And I think, yeah, I'm. We might have to pump the brakes. I think Earl's in a pretty good spot, but DeCandio is actually you might be able to sense a little bit of worry coming from his side of the field as he's
Hmm.
got those two mines which are looking terrible in the face of this Fox Crab situation. You got that Lilo, which I mean, your ink well isn't overflowing with vibrance right now, so it's like, ugh. If you
Yeah,
lose this board has to be you have to hang on to this thing for a while at least so you can get some more cards going, and I'm
he
sure
needs
that's
to see
what
some draw power.
and I'm sure that's what he's thinking about here as we're going to go ahead and that Moana actually is quite buff too. That's a
That Moana is a 3/4 with like that's a big body that mine unfortunately can't really get rid of easily. It's just gonna be hard. But hey, we got a mine on board, which is an extra lore that he can gain a per turn. But like you said, Fox and Crab is just a thing. But yeah, Earl gets rid of this board. Earl's back
yeah.
all the way, and
And
that's the beauty of this game right now. The aggro lifestyle sometimes you burn fast,
oh yeah, you
and if
come
Earl
in
can
hot, burn out
survive,
fast. That's it. That's it. With no whole new world to back you up, but he does play those docks. So getting a the top deck dock here, shift dock to
Doc
the mine
solely.
train, or I keep saying mine train. Oh my goodness, I'm so Disney World out. They got the Seven Dwarfs mine train over in Disney World. I'm talking about Seven Dwarfs mine train now. What am I talking about? But
It's a
anyway,
fantastic ride. Hometown. It's my home, so like I get it. It's always there. It's
oh,
one of the best rides out there.
it's always going to be in the front of my mind. Get it pun.
Mine. There you go.
There it
That's
is.
what I'm talking about. Very mindful.
Okay, so we get into the Calhoun as we're just going to take out the mine train there with the Moana and Crab situation, as you got the sign Crab onto the field, and now you draw into the Calgoon. So again, this board is falling apart slowly, 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 as we'll get a trade in with the Moana on the peak. And now we might have to commit some more cards to the field. And each card you put down is going to be another card you're playing right into Earl's game here, as he's going to be able to
Yeah.
continue to exchange. And then once he has you in card advantage, he can start questing heavily. And then the
Right.
game he can take back over. His game is not over as DeCandio is now
He,
fully committed, no cards in hand.
and the big problem with right now in this Calhoun situation is there's not a lot of cards it can remove and survive in Earl's hand and on the field. Like Crab will get rid of it. There's a lot of 3 damage characters that will get rid of the Calhoun, and you want Calhoun to survive at least 2 turns so you can get that most benefit. And so right now it's kind of a not the most effective card, and it's a tough situation. Like like you said, if Earl gets rid of this board, which he has the tools in his hand, he might just reverse the aggro and just take over it. But
Completely, yeah.
one Doc top deck might ruin the tempo of that.
Just
So we'll see.
just take over one little dock might just take over the party, or if he leaves some if he now he has to worry about
Genie
Rapunzel as
on board.
well, as DeCandio does have that 4, he's at the 4 in the ink. So if Earl starts putting stuff sideways, get crashed
What do we top
into
deck?
by a Daisy Duck and get hit by a vicious Rapunzel, then you're right back
Hmm.
into this thing. So it is so it is
Ooh, a
we still
second
got
Daisy.
we got a game here, and it looks like the Condio just might be content on just building a beefy board here and just trying to one quest out of this thing and be done with it, leaving all of his characters in the ready position. I've noticed a lot of these players in this LCCC have been doing that. That is something I need to incorporate in my game. Instead of just questing and trying to get the lore now, just set it up and
Wait it
hope,
out.
because you know for a fact that in Earl's deck he has no way to engage with ready characters. So in theory, you could just come out and just put characters down, turn after turn, get to 20 on the board, and just send them all sideways at once. He does have Elsa the Fifth Spirit, and that's pretty much it. So that could be a tech.
Yeah, I mean, there's an option there, but I do want to emphasize there's a big problem on Earl's board that the Candy has no option of getting rid of, which is that genie. Like
Oh yeah,
other than the mine, we're kind of cooked unless we draw the song, and that card will just gain 2 lore per turn with basically no answer. But he's gonna go ahead and challenge the Lilo because you want to be able to stop the lore per turn. But again, Genie's just a really powerful tool in this matchup because there's not a lot of answers other than Stranger Raging Fire and the songs that
hmm
DeCandio has in play.
yeah. He's not playing any Zeus or anything like that. So he just got the strength. He just has a storm. So maybe if he get like a double storm situation, like I said, strength of Raging Fire, his board is quite robust right now. He's got quite a few characters on there. So storm, strength, and hope, I think, is the play, as Earl is also playing it very wise, electing not to put anybody
Oh, P.
sideways that can get slammed into it for a Rapunzel situation, playing around that Rapunzel very expertly, as we're just going to get into another Pete, which can't, if he plays this second Pete and he gets another friends on the other
Friends?
side, I'm going to lose it, dude.
Oh.
I'm losing it.
Oh man, the chances are low, but with Earl's luck, it's not zero, unfortunately. But Pete is not what you want to see here. If DeCandio is you want to be able to find at least some sort of dock. We're looking for the dock. We're looking for that draw that we desperately need, and we're
Mm.
just the aggro lifestyle of top decking and playing is on display right now. While Earl has some options available to deal with it, but if the cards aren't sideways, Earl can't really get rid of that board. So if the Candio somehow gets 13 lore on board, there's just not a lot of options to get rid of it other than that Elsa that we're seeing in Earl's hands.
Yeah. And he was
It's just
probably
a tough situation.
he was probably contemplating hard about putting that Pete down into the inkwell maybe, and hoping for, maybe, I don't know, another card or something like that, but just or inking it, or playing it. But he decided to put it down on the field. So now he's got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. As we'll just get a trade in with the Daisy. Who did he trade into there?
He got rid of the
No, he didn't
other
get rid of anything. He just
illegal.
crashed and got rid of it. Or no, he got rid of
Yeah,
the he
yeah.
got rid of
He got
the.
rid of the Daisy.
Okay, okay.
He got rid of Daisy with Genie and Isle, so he did 2-2 and then got rid of it, which is a good play. To be fair.
As Earl does win the first Rapunzel exchange, as you'll get Rapunzel down. No, into the inkwell. Never mind. Forget I said anything.
Oh,
He's loved inking these Rapunzels. I'm like, you
another
gotta.
Calhoun.
He's inked these Rapunzels multiple times in this series. I'm like, big dog, you gotta start playing these things, man. That's what they're there for. But I guess if you play it, you can't really quest it because you just, I don't
Press
know.
for two here, play the Calhoun and pass. I mean, right now being at the 4 ink that DeCandio is in, he's in a good spot with no hands and no cards in hand because he doesn't have to ink anything because all of his cards are under 4 ink. So everything is playable right now, whatever he draws. But he's just hoping to get a draw because right now that board is getting wide and 20 lore might come in a lot faster than he might see. But the situation is definitely an interesting one here.
Yeah, I'm talking about that. I saw Earlmeister ink that Rapunzel again in another tight situation because you could have.
Another one,
Yeah,
wow.
he inked, no, not another one, but he did ink one in the previous turn, and that genie could be healed, and that's two more cards you can draw, and that's 2 more question power that you just sent to the inkwell. So I'm interested to see what his affinity is with putting these Rapunzels into the inkwell. I don't know. Maybe he knows, maybe knows a little something more. I'm sure he has a plan for it. Clearly, both of these players are quite talented Illumineers, and I just like to hear what is his why not heal the genie there and then get those 2 cards, and then you're still kind of crushing. As now you have
Hmm.
to start trying to fight back. Maybe DeCandio is just going to lean on these Pete and this Calhoun to take out 2 of your characters as well, and get the lore off the board that way. As Earl is kind of running through the gauntlet of what choice to make with these 2 foxes. What do you do here?
Ooh, I mean, Fox is just such a free removal, but like, is it worth the trade? Is the big question. I personally think so, because we have to drop this board to out of existence. Because if not, like he has no cards in hand. Once we get rid of this board as much as possible, we have such a big control over this game,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to get rid of these problematic 3 strength cards. Where it's just like if we don't, then they're going to get rid of our board. So we want to make sure we do that fast, and being able to damage something and then bounce it back is just something that's really, really effective. Getting rid of the daisy is huge. Like I said, the biggest question to win this game for Earl is, can we clear this board? Once we do, we have such an advantage over just anything that happens, and we might be seeing that as he slowly gets rid of this board.
He does. So he brings out the Elsa the Fifth Spirit. He'll tap down the Daisy Duck, and then we'll go ahead and clear up the Daisy Duck, and we get into a Rapunzel
And we got the
here.
Rapunzel.
So never punished.
This is where we play it, right? Like there's the 3 is the magic number.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I like this play a lot better. So you probably were more in tune with your strategy and more in tune with what's going on. So now Earl's or DeCandio's in a very critical position. He needs to top deck a song here, or something to kind of slow this
Just
down,
a
because he can.
dock.
A dock would be great. A dock into a song would be a dock into a strength of a storm rage on would be fantastic. So you can clear this genie because you know that 3 and you know Rapunzel's coming, especially when you saw your opposition put one into the inkwell already. You can kind of feel that there may be another. And that +3, I don't think you can come back from that +3. I really don't. and I think he can break that board eventually over time, or just grow so large that your steal removal won't be able to catch you up, as you
Play a
are going to
card on
be able to
pass
get
is
it
tough.
happening here.
Yeah, right now aggro is just doing the thing that aggro does, right? Just play a card and hope for the best. And whenever those cards are not horizontal, Earl can't do anything. So we just gotta hope we got enough tools to slowly build up that 20. But being able to draw that three is gonna be a game-changing move here. Rapunzel just adds so much value into what Earl can do in this
Yeah.
board state.
And that
We
that
drew
two,
into
that two that
wow.
two lore is also quite good. And Rapunzel only
Hmm.
swinging back for one, playing around your opposition Rapunzel two. I think it's a great card in this situation, as
Absolutely.
we're still looking quite wide here for Earl, and you can go even more wide. So maybe you can play the quest out game, as you're going to send another card down to the Inkwell, and then is it Hades time? No, perhaps maybe
Mm,
next turn
It's
you can send,
Mufasa time, baby. It's Mufasa time.
as you'll send your aviated cards, you send your evasive cards sideways for another three. And now DeCandio is going to need a miracle here. You are at 9. Maybe you can put 9 down. Maybe you can put 9 down onto the board in one fell swoop and get it and still quest it out in time. But time is literally running out, as we're going to pass here.
What are we hoping for if you're DeCandio here? What's the answer here? What are we just draw, right?
You got to just keep every card you play, every card you draw off the top of the deck. You got to put that thing down into play immediately. That's it. That's your only hope. Draw, play, and hope it sticks. Draw,
We
play, because this game
got
has completely gotten out of hand, as Earl's
we
deck
got
is
six
actually
lore
popping off.
versus yeah, we got six lore versus a gazillion on Earl's board. So right now that lore per turn is looking Earl's way, and with seeing the Rapunzel versus not seeing any single draw power has been the story of this game one here is seeing that the free draws here has been significant in this matchup.
I mean, but looking at his board though, he's got 2, 4, 5, 6. That's 15. He just needs
That's not
5 more.
enough.
He needs 5 more. Maybe you can start cracking back and bringing some of those Lilos back, perhaps. And but that would just force another exchange, and maybe you can get Rapunzel again. And as Earl's board is just getting beefier and beefier. Oh, and that Hades is just extra beef
Hades is three
patty.
lore.
Holy moly! So
We
many
got like
characters on the board, you can't even see them all. They're just lying. He's starting to quest now, and
yeah, this might be Earl's game. I mean, like we said, if Earl survives the burn in the first couple of turns, it's Earl's game to win, and we don't see a draw power. That's game one. Earl takes the W.
we'll just get the scoop
Wow.
there. Wow, 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 wow. Earl coming out swinging, man. And that's I guess that's what the deck's supposed to do. We didn't really get a chance to see Earl's strategy take place in the first 3 rounds, but that thing was looking quite good there. He started off in a slow variety, slow way as well. 6 unequal cards in hand, and it just did
He was
not.
patient.
And he patient, and he turned that thing around and he hit the gas pedal fast. So that's what the
Hmm.
deck's supposed to do. It looked quite good. So DeCandio is going to have to really come up with a new game plan of how to assault this deck. And I don't know if I mean I'm sure he's got a plan in the back of his head of what he wants to do. What do you think DeCandio can do to make this thing a little bit closer? Because
That was a swing.
that was a huge slam there for the EU.
Hmm. Well, that's a tough one because if he sees some draw power with some docks and Rapunzels, the game that six lore on board could have been the extra five that he was looking for, which he didn't see unfortunately, and that was the misfortune of the game one for DeCandio here. But he needs to be able to just find his answers, find that draw power, find some removals, and hope for the best here because uh, both of these decks don't really have an answer to what happens if you go wide, other than Earl's Foxes
Hmm.
and the removal tools. It's just one of those things where we need to find our draw. We need to have more tools in our hand to be able to get that 20. And DeCandio unfortunately didn't see it. I mean, he top deck a Smee, he top deck a Lawrence, and he didn't find what he was looking for, which was probably those docks and Rapunzels that he desperately needed. Even let the Storm Ranger on would have done that trick that he has four of, but he just didn't see it.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that's what happens.
He's got
And
he's
in
gonna
the
have to
other
draw.
end,
Yeah.
I mean, with Earl, what do you think went right?
I mean, Earl did. I think he did what he wanted to do. He was patient. He drew bad. He mulliganed hard and got punished a little bit, and kind of just stayed calm. didn't overplay, didn't overexert, didn't do anything too crazy, didn't play into DeCandio's board in any way, and just kind of stayed the course. And then took out the mine train when he was supposed to. I think he did everything right. He's trying to run that one back again. But we got the chat
Oh
caught
yeah,
up. Yo, hopefully the stream is looking good. Hopefully everyone out there is feeling. This is LCC. This is round number
let's
4.
go.
This is DeCandio versus Earlmeister. And thank you all for joining. As always, I'm JDZ, and I'm on the quest. In the building with me, we got Y Breezy, JDZ, Y Breezy, talking to you
We keep
guys
it
live and
easy, baby.
keeping it. Oh, there it is. 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 Gunshots up. Last one.
Oh,
Okay, I gotta
let's
shoot. I gotta shoot
go.
the shots. Gotta shoot the shot. All right, and we're back. We're ready for some more high quality Lorcana action as the players are getting their cards situated and ready to go. We're hopping in as it looks like we are getting the mulligans underway, or the
Ooh,
drawing and mulliganating, altering
much
mulligan.
better. We those piglets are what's gonna do that trick. I mean, that's extra 2 lore that he didn't have last game. So we that's a nice change of pace. But unfortunately, like the first game, we are out of drawing.
Mm.
There's no draw in the Candio's hand. And in this situation, are we mulliganing as much as we can to see those draw powers?
I wanna I wanna keep that Pluto. I think Pluto is great. I think
Ooh,
Pluto might be the difference maker too. With that huge 5, at 5 goes a long way, and you'll be able to protect your
yeah.
questing guys. You'll be able to protect the piglet. I like the Pluto. Maybe he's thinking about sending it back just to take your advice and get some draw, or get, maybe you can find a dock so when you burn your hand inking and playing, you'll still have the opportunity to get more cards. Maybe you can get to Rapunzel or something. But finding 4 ink, finding some lore, getting as wide as you can in that 4 ink, and still not be top decking before you have the opportunity to contest this board, I think is going to be
And then
maybe a path, maybe a choice. I don't know.
And then Earl is keeping the 1 drop that he didn't find in game 1, and Fox, obviously your best removal tool, and Moana, which has been a fascinating card to see. I mean, he's running 1 of it, and he saw it twice, which is one
Mhm.
of those things do happen in the card game. But yeah, the 3/4 body is a problem for Brandon here. It's just not being able to get rid of such a big body with such a big gain lore is a issue, honestly.
Uh oh. Looks like we
And he
got a
saw it twice. Ah, there it is.
we got a little disconnect, a little disconnection section. No big deal.
It's okay. It's okay.
We're cooking.
The show goes on, baby.
And
That's what we do here.
we'll just get a quick pause, okay? A quick pause while we wait on the technological indifferences to repair themselves, and we'll be back. Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay. And watch is gonna come back, and they're gonna
One
completely
second,
switch
let me
sides.
fix it.
Oh, no big deal, no big deal.
no big deal.
Shout out to E Phil, Mr. Phil, and shout out to Ellie in the building. Hold it down.
MVPs running it down, running it back, scene behind the scenes, doing it the most. Shout out the judges and everyone running the show. It's been a fantastic experience for a fan that like me that has been watching these events as much as possible. It's been fantastic. So shout out to the heroes that are running the behind the scenes show.
Oh, for sure, man. They make it happen. They make it happen. We can sit up here and we can. Oh, it looks like they're back. They're coming back. They're
Let's
coming
go.
back.
Let's go.
They're coming back. Okay, just like that.
And we got the mulligan too. We got the happy, which is I don't know if that's the war you want to see specifically, but it's still a good 1 drop. And then we have found our Rapunzel. Congratulations, DeCandio. We have found our draw power. So that's something that we didn't see in game 1. So it's definitely a nice addition to our beautiful hand here. And then as we see Earl alter their hand, we're hoping to see probably just better curve. I mean, that was the significant and inkables because boy, he did not see any.
I mean, maybe he wants to run that back though, because it worked out.
That's
It
true.
worked out so good. Like, it worked out as perfectly as it could for him, even with all those unequal cards. Again, just running the course, trusting your deck. I mean, inking that Rapunzel, I was like, I would never do that, and it paid off tremendously because you were able to get full value from your Rapunzel instead of just a little half value that you would have gotten if you would have taken my play. So clearly, Earl's in tune with his deck. He's in tune with his strategy, and he knows what he's trying to accomplish with these maneuvers.
Ooh,
As we're going to get into so it looks like we're going to have the pig. We got a little bit of lag. Excuse me for the lag, but no big deal. We have the 1 drop, 2 drop situation as we'll send the Cindy down for a
that's smart.
quest, it looks like.
And then we have to make the decision of what we're inking here, and that's a tough one. We kind of want to keep everything in our hand right now. but we're gonna get rid of that. Happy to get into most likely a piglet here because we want to establish that lore advantage early, especially with having a Rapunzel in our hand, knowing that there's a high chance that our hand will get a reload within this game.
And questing there in the face of this Olaf, who is cute, but he only has one in
He's
the
not gonna get
toughness.
rid of it.
He can't. Dude, just imagine Olaf and Cinderella fighting, dude. That would be a hilarious battle. But Olaf cannot beat up Cinderella, and that is lore canon confirmed. It is so true. As now Earl is thinking about what he wants to throw into the inkwell, it will be one of
Fox.
those foxes. I like. What do you think about that? Inking the fox here in this situation.
You got two, right?
Yeah,
That's not the worst case scenario. You got two because there's chances that you can bounce it back with your other. Uh, I don't believe other than Fox we're bouncing. We got the snake. Maybe we see a snake down the road. But if you got two, might as well because you want to keep your Elsas, especially now that the shift line that's online as well. That's something that might come up. You got the Rapunzel that you're not going to get rid of, and then the crab is just offers so much, and Moana being uninkable is
and
also a
and that's one of those things too with inking the fox. That just kind of because you know that they just DeCandio knows you have another fox in hand. That's just
yeah.
giving that is kind of
That's a
giving up a
punish that
that's
you know of.
you know that they got another one because you're not gonna just ink that fox in this matchup without another one being readily available. As I'm fixing the stream here, we're having a little bit of Discord situation, but we're cooking here live. Sorry you guys have to see this, and you guys get a little sneak peek behind the scenes of how all this is working as I'm cooking it live. No big deal. We're gonna get through this. Thank you
No
for your
big deal.
patience. Thank you for your patience. And boom, we're still there. And we're
We're
so
back.
back.
All right. Well, right now the Caney is looking at options. What we gotta we gotta activate that piglet to get that three lore, obviously. But the hard question in this hand is what are we inking? Because piglet is such a good addition to have two piglets. And he knows there's a fox in hand because we just saw the ink, like you said. So what are we doing here? Are we getting rid of a Lilo that might come back every single turn? Are we getting rid of Rapunzel, which is a huge risk? What are we doing?
I think it might be put the Lilo down because you have to ink every turn. You need four. You
Yeah,
need four. And I think you
yeah,
put the
that's exactly
Lilo
what
in
you
and maybe even send this Daisy in or send the oh, you're going to Daisy Calhoun.
Ooh,
You're trying to fight back. I like this aggression
that's
here as you
huge.
know this next Fox might be inbound and you'll be able to at least get it off the board before it can do maximum damage. But still, that's a lot of cards you've committed to the board again. Only holding on to two. You need to figure out a way to
Oh, we got
finesse this
Rapunzel.
Rapunzel. You got to finesse it though. I think it's gonna be tough if Earl's not questing either. Both players doing an expert job playing around each other's Rapunzel activation. So he's not questing. He's not giving you anybody to swing into to get that value out of it. So maybe you're trying to coerce an attack in here with this Cinderella as Olaf is just holding it down by himself. Earl contemplating on what he wants to jam into the inkwell as we are thinking long and hard and finally committing to putting
Rapunzel
down the Rapunzel again.
again. I think Earl just doesn't like
I'm,
Rapunzel. I
I'm
think
starting to
that's
believe
just happened.
that.
Hey,
I'm
we got the
starting. I'm
crab.
starting to agree with you. I'm starting to agree with you. As we're going to go ahead and use that Olaf. We will take out the piglet there, and then the Cinderella still remains. So leaving no damage, able to clear a character completely, and setting yourself up for another Rapunzel situation that you just put into the inkwell. That's two more cards. Maybe I just like drawing cards too much. I don't know. That could be my
Who
weakness.
doesn't? But Earl is trying to fox out that Calhoun. He's giving him the bait of like, okay, go ahead, swing at my Olaf. You know I got a fox. Do what you got to do. And now with that ability to bounce back the crab, that's scary.
Oh yeah.
So he's done a good job. Like, yes, he might gain the two lore potentially for free here with Calhoun, but that's not going to do anything if Calhoun's gone the next turn. So he's giving the option to set up the trap. Will he bite into it? That's that we'll see. And we get the quest with Daisy here. Obviously, that's what you want to see. Um.
No, he
Oh,
challenged. He's
okay.
going to take out the Olaf because he's trying to play around another Rapunzel. So
Draw the
maybe,
one.
maybe you're right. Maybe Earl is playing some 5D chess and showing the Rapunzel in Inkwell, forcing your opponent to play around Rapunzel. Showing your opponent the
Mhm.
Fox, forcing your opponent to play around the Fox. Because why would you ink one if you don't have another? So clearing that Olaf, saving some lore, which is incredibly important.
A second crab is here. Huge.
but also he's going to get a little bit of rebuttal for his own Rapunzel. Very, it's just a one card Rapunzel, but still one card is going to be
Still one.
yeah, better than nothing. Better than nothing as you heal up your Daisy. So now it looks like we might be forcing this Fox turn now, but maybe he might be trying to
Mhm.
save that Fox turn in case he shifts this Rapunzel on a quest. So that could be what Earl is thinking about here too, or maybe go
Yeah.
double crab could be cool. Crab into Daisy. It's a lot of stuff to think about, man.
Crab on crab action would be good. I think there's you get a free removal of Daisy here. That's a good
and
it's a
then
good setup. It's just tough. What do you like? What are we doing here? Is tough answer. Like he has tools. I don't know why he's not necessarily inking the Olaf. I love Olaf, but I think it's just a
oh,
little late
Ink
for
the
the game.
Fox. That's
Ink the
interesting.
Fox is interesting.
Ink the Fox is interesting. I
Okay,
and we will go Crab here, and Crab will be able to take down the Daisy Duck. But Ink the Fox, that Fox seemed like it could have gone a long way for you. As we will put
I'm gonna
down the
play the Olaf.
Olaf, he is providing a little bit of pressure, but that Fox seemed really really good. Both of them did, and the second one seemed really good with this Crab to kind
Oh,
of
we see
challenge
the
this.
Wonderland sign Doc here. That's what we want to see. That's exactly what we want to see because now we can literally throw up our hand with Lilo, and just next turn just draw basically free cards, and that's the beauty of it here. Um,
And yeah, I think that's what he might do. He might just say, "I'm all in," and see check raise right now. Go all in, put the Lilos down, and then put the dock down. Get two more cards, maybe even ink one, and then move on. Move on about the cabinet. Just start questing. Maybe you can get there with this setup. I don't know. DeCandio's running numbers. He's a much better player than I, and he will put the Lilo into the inkwell, and we will go all in with Doc here, and let's see what we can draw.
Absolutely. This is huge because we draw some songs here, and we do draw a song. That's what we want to see, and we got a Daisy that we can just play this turn too. This hand is getting a little spicy, and that's exactly what he was looking for. Just being able to find more fuel into a game where you can really go wide and not be scared of certain
Mm-hmm.
removal tools that his opponent just doesn't have. And with Calhoun removal, that's an additional two lore. It's such a good card. Like it just does so much for you.
That Calhoun is a great addition to this game. I love Calhoun. I'm a huge fan of
As
Calhoun.
well.
I hope they keep creating cards like that that do really cool things like that. I think Calhoun's
Hmm.
great. I think it's a very perfectly balanced card as well. As we're going to
Yeah.
send, so we do take your plate. We're sending the Daisy out. We're going as wide as humanly possible, and we're going to hang on to that Storm Rage on. Just trading down the Calhoun, keeping that Crab off the play. And now we have
Mhm.
just Crab and Olaf here, and we get into the Rafiki. It looks like as we're going to probably
Challenger 3 is massive.
does he have he has rush and challenge? Is that the one with rush and challenger?
No, it's just Challenger 3.
Okay.
It's a 1 drop for 0-2, but it has Challenger 3. And it has a Hyena ability, but I don't necessarily remember because it's never really a situation that ever comes up.
Mm.
But I think it's something along the line of like if there's a Hyena that it challenges, it takes no damage, but like there's no Hyenas of importance. So that's kind of it's just a Challenger
Yeah,
3 in our heads at this point.
that's that bonsai synergy, dude. You gotta have that bonsai strat. The hyena strat is gonna take over. Set eight.
One day, and if it does, Rafiki stocks will go up. But right now, it's just a Challenger 3 with a
But
one drop, which is a fact, which is a really good tool if it in a lot of aggro strategies. But right now, it's kind of a dead card.
and
With
that's one of those
no
things I gotta say that I love about this Lorcana game that I've grown to love. Even someday the dirtiest bulk that you have, the bulkiest bulk could just become the best card.
Bell,
With shifts, with the ability to shift and with the ability to, with the way the meta changes, it can just be a phenomenal
absolutely.
card. So I love it. One day trash, next day treasure. As we are gonna go in on the fifth spirit, it looks like as DeCandio's board is quite massive now. So it's kind of a reflection of game number one. As we're going to go
Mhm.
fifth spirit, it looks like we tap down the Rapunzel, perhaps.
We want to get rid of it. We want to get rid of that big body. We want to get rid of that two lore gain. We have the tools for it. But it is a big commitment, which what Rapunzel truly offers as well. It's just a big commitment to get rid of if you don't have those like free removal tools like you do with in the Ruby
And that,
weapon
yeah,
tool.
that's why
So
that's why I think that Fox would have been quite cash money, man, in this situation. But knowing that they're both in the
absolutely.
inkwell, you're going to be hurting for another Fox later on, as you're going to have to continue to clear this board if DeCandio continues to keep
But the
questing.
Elsa shift line.
Oh,
The
that's
Elsa
it.
shift line is coming.
It's coming.
That's it's coming, and that granted, the Candio's board is a little too wide for to control everything, but it's gonna stop the bleeding a little bit. It just depends on how we're gonna get rid of that. But if DeCandio knows the deck list well, there's a small chance of knowing that Elsa shift line is down the road. So we might want to get rid of that to stop the shift line from happening. But if not, we got decent tools, like 2 cards in hand with an extra drop potentially from the song. The Candio's looking decent with Earlmeister's hand getting low as well, unlike the game one. So we're gonna see the difference in between being able to get that extra resource that DeCandio was looking for at game one.
So
And we draw the Calhoun. Oh my goodness!
we are able to sing there, get a little bit of value, get the Calhoun. Are you going all in again? Do you have enough? I think
Ooh,
you have 5, so you can play both of these cards here, and I think that might be beneficial in just let's race. Yeah, let's put them down. I like that
yeah,
play a lot.
let's go
Just
for
let's
it.
put them down and say you better do something, or I'm coming after you. And this Elsa Fifth Spirit, it is good, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough to stop all of this as you get into the Mufasa. So you still might have to shift, hope, pin down 2, swing on 1, and then hope that's good enough. You got to think about this. Maybe you pin down who's 2 questing over there. You pin down the Daisy. Maybe you pin down the Lilo. You take down the Doc. I don't know. I don't know because he's
This board is a little problematic, especially with not having a lot of tools to remove it in his hand or on the board. Like, what are we getting rid of with so many options? Like, yes, you can't quest for the next turn, but it doesn't mean much when there's so many more cards that might come up in the next turn. Because Lawrence is a fantastic 2 gainer as well with a 4/4 body at the point.
yeah. So can he clear them all? Because you got so he is going to go for it.
We got the shift.
I'm interested to see how he's going to break this one down. So he's got the shift. We got the big Elsa. We're stinging down 2. We're going to freeze the Lawrence. We're going to freeze
The
the
lores and the
Calhoun.
Calhoun. Okay. I mean, that's 4 lore that we're stopping here. We're swinging into the Daisy, which is definitely what we want to be able to do. Like, yeah, like you said, we are stopping. We're freezing the game a little bit, and hoping that we don't get to 5. But it's looking a little dire
Yeah.
with how everything is set up right now because he has 4 lore this turn. He just needs 1 more next, and all he needs to find is a character that just stays up basically and get to 19 here, and hope you don't die. And I don't think Earl has got what it. And we
And
just
just
draw
throw it
into the
down. Just
Daisy, and
toss a daisy in the
that's
mix. Just jam a daisy in the mix for just a little added benefit. As we're just, I don't know, maybe those, you know what would be good right now? Oh, those foxes. Okay, those would be phenomenal if you
those
had those.
foxes. It's just not enough though.
Yeah,
It's just
it's a
like go wide has worked in this game. This game story has been go wide. You can't stop me, and we're seeing it in game 2. We saw it in game 1. It's just one of those things where he wasn't able to stop the game early, and DeCandio took a huge advantage of that. And he did find the draw that he didn't see in game 1, and that's the
mm,
change of play here. Obviously, going first is huge as well. But
absolutely, man. That was a difference maker. So we will be getting a game number 3. We're hyped for
I
that.
believe
We're
so.
gonna. I don't think there's. You can't stop this.
This
I
is
don't.
the time where
Yeah,
you wish you were playing Ruby, right?
yeah.
This is the
You need
time
to
where
be
I
prepared.
wish. Nope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you,
we don't see it
You're
in
gonna
this game.
you're gonna be a GG right there as you scoop them all up and going into a game number 3. So very interesting. I think you were absolutely correct. This is going to be a battle of the bulge. This is going to be a battle of the width and
With we're going
we're
wide.
going
We're
wide.
going
Who can outflank the adversary the most? They're
absolutely.
trying to outflank each other. They're trying to get around each other's board, and I DeCandio was able to do that a lot better than Earl in that game. But we're already going to an all important game number 3. We got Earlmeister on the play. We got right now the series is tied. What is it? 2 to no, it's 2 to 1 this series as Lamb Chops was
Ooh,
able to come on in and get the dub earlier today after 2 losses
okay.
faced yesterday. I believe Sailor and who else went down? Oh, dude, Sailor went down and Sailor versus Artifacts. And what was the other game? I can't remember. My brain is bad, but
There's so many Lorcana games.
so I know it's 2. It should be 2 to 1 right now in this round. And the North American team needs to start piling on some victories here and go on a
Comeback.
little streak if you're trying to come back and at least tie the series. Maybe you can even win the series before we go into the top cut, which will be a an individual contest here at the top four.
Hmm.
Huge shout out to Pavel. He did reveal those mats. I don't know if I'm authorized to showcase those out yet. I'll let them do that, but it is gorgeous. Okay, it is absolutely
Gorgeous.
it is absolutely
And you get
beautiful.
the non-champion one if you join if you enter the giveaway, which you should.
Yeah,
You get a non-champion playmat with the foiling, and it looks so beautiful.
it is.
Cannot recommend it.
I can't wait till those things are seen. So make sure you guys get over there and check those out. And hopefully we continue to do series like this in the future because I've been having a blast with this LCCC and providing commentary and being a part of this thing. And one other benefit that I have noticed from this LCCC is that it's allowing the community to get in contact with other content creators. Shout out to everyone who's done some commentary. And I had no idea that a lot of these uh, personalities had the YouTubes and the Twitches and stuff. So I've been able to fully immerse myself in Lorcana and have, 24-hour Lorcana action, which is something I've been desperately missing in my life. So it's been such a great service to the community. And hopefully this thing continues on with different types of events like this in the future, man. And
Yeah.
maybe we can get something else going. This is really cool. I'm having a good time
I
with it.
mean, if you're looking for more like Lorcana gameplay on Fridays, we have there's the Illuminator Champions League where we
Hmm.
take on the best teams of the best teams in the country versus one another in a 3v3 matchup where each deck is different. So there's that available for Fridays as well, with streamed on Wonderland stream every Friday and sometimes Wednesdays. So people are looking for more games, and I think Lorcana is offering a lot of that in high end level. We got the LCCC here. We obviously the DLC streams are fantastic. The ICL is taken over. We saw the DLC winning players compete in there as well. So it's been a fantastic opportunity to watch a lot of high end players play in this competition and others, and it's been such a beautiful thing to see this community be able to do, unlike any other. We don't see a lot of other communities where you see the best of the best compete on a regular basis. I mean,
Hmm.
it's just what happens, and this is so beautiful. And as we enter the game three, we are mulliganing some good stuff here. Uh, what are we looking for here? Are we still looking for the curve? What are we exactly looking for?
I'm if I and I just got some feedback. Okay, we're catching up to the chat, and I've been saying DeCandio this whole time.
The
The
Candia.
the Illuminator's name is DeCandio,
Yeah,
not DeCandio.
right in the Candia. No.
DeCandio. Okay, that's what DeCandio is going to try to do. I'm pretty sure it's going to be very similar to what they just did in the previous game. You're going to try to figure out a way to get those big bodies outside the boundaries. You need 5 characters on the board. Is what you're trying to do. You're trying to craft a plan to get 4 to 5 beefy bodies onto the board. And I think Earl is going to try to do the same thing. So this is going to be an interesting matchup to see who can just out with the other competitor. And it looks like we have that Fox in hand. We have that Chip. We have the Diablo and DeCandio. It looks like we're
No
sending
one
back
drops.
no
No
one
one
drops.
drop.
No one drops. Oh my goodness. None, huh? This might be a
He's running
mess.
12 of them, so the chances of him seeing it is high. But will he? We'll find out, because I think if I'm DeCandio, I got a mulligan as much as I can.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a one drop, especially being playing on the draw here. We were looking for just a draw to find that one drop to really keep up, because most likely our opponent might see that one drop too. And like we seen in game one and two, it's just been a matchup of who can go wider, and we got to find that curve. Curve is the biggest thing in this matchup, and if we find the 1, 2, 3, 4, we will potentially get the dub.
Mm. Yeah, I think, and he's doing a huge mulligan here. I think you're absolutely correct. Putting a bunch of the high beef back in, looking for some
Oh no,
looking more lean beef. This is post mull.
no, yeah, this is the he sent two.
Oh,
He sent the second Pluto. But look, the chances aren't low. As long as you see the one drop, we have the curve. We have the two drop. We have the three drop. We have the four drop. So
okay, okay.
as long as we find that one, I think we're good off. But playing on the draw, it's just a little bit better, and we don't see it. But that's okay,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's just we got the second turn where we can play the Calhoun and then kind of tech off there. But it's going to be a little difficult to catch up if Earl takes on those early two lore gainers, which he has a few of, with the likes of Lilo, Wendy Darling, the Moan at the 3 turn, so and the Dale that he kept in his hand. So it's just one of those things where he might have to be able to stop the bleeding with the removal tool that he has seen in his hand with the two strength of raging fires.
So we'll go ahead and jam the Mufasa with quickness and bring out that Diablo out here as a first turn play. It looks like that Pete will go down to the inkwell almost
Pete,
immediately as well with a quick pass. Turn
nice.
one going off with expedient pace as we'll get into the GOAT. So the quest within the quest, who can get the widest, is underway as Diablo is looking to go for one. Let's see what Earl elects to do as this turn two is breaking down. What is he going to put? Is he going to put this fox into the inkwell again? No chance, right?
We got two Wendy's. I guess I would assume he's gonna ink the first one, play the second, because you have a lot of options in turn three. Yeah, I think that's just gonna be the move here because you got to establish that board early, which he is able to do here.
And we got the Wendy Darling up, and you get into a happy. No, that's Doc. You get Doc there, which is coming at a Doc. I need you when I need you. I need you coming off the top deck, dude. I don't need you coming in when I got 17 cards in my hand. I need you to
Right.
relax, pal. But that is going to be a good insurance policy, as once you do bleed your hand dry, you'll be able to kind of refuel for two more cards and keep that aggression going. As Calgoon comes down onto the play, ready to check the Wendy Darling if that elects to quest. So I think that's a good call and response here, as Calhoun is looking great in the face of this Wendy as we get into the
Mhm.
Rafiki, who's looking pretty decent into the face of Calhoun. So we might have a little
Oh,
game
that's
here.
yeah, but will he play it this turn is the big question here because he has tools to remove it, remove the Calhoun next turn.
Hmm.
Granted, he's going to get rid of it, but will it be with Rafiki? Because if he plays the Rafiki, then the kind of math will change here for DeCandio. So we'll definitely have to see what he does. Yeah, he plays the Dale, which comes in exerted unless you have his chip.
No, revert. Yeah,
So
he's Chip. If you got Dale, I
no,
think
that's Dale.
that's
That's
Dale. That's
Dale.
Dale. I'm tripping.
That's
Okay,
Dale. That's Dale.
that's Dale. Yeah, 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 yeah. You're right. You're right. You're
That's
right.
our boy Dale.
Yeah.
He's the and we're just gonna
Oh,
challenge that Diablo for free, knowing that potentially a fox is on the way, and then we play the Lawrence, which is a 4/4 with no damage on board, which is such a good power tool. With cards like that, you're basically saying if I'm gonna quest, you have to. You're basically sacrificing a character because 4/4 is gonna take care of a lot of options on your board.
yeah, I like this. I like this change of pace from DeCandio, saying like, you know what, maybe we don't have to racing wide. Maybe I can just fight you back before you can start questing. And Calhoun and Lawrence are great tools to do that. So I think that's a good way to kind of address this matchup, as both players are kind of going into this Cold War type situation, not questing, refusing to put stuff sideways inadvertently. You do have that Dale that can go into this Calhoun, but then you're going to get cleaned up by the Lawrence on the next go round. So very interesting stuff. I think I think it might be time to maybe quest with it and just say you don't got it. I don't know, but then the Lawrence
I
can
mean,
take it down.
questing is dangerous
Yeah,
because
you
we
can't
got
quest it.
Lawrence, a Rapunzel play here with that
Oof.
will just give you
Yeah, don't
three
do that.
draw. That's scary. That's scary.
And we challenge
Yeah,
here.
we're challenging it. Okay. I mean, if you have
I like
Rapunzel,
that.
this play would have won. Okay, we're bouncing it back. That's definitely the move here. And then we're gonna ink the Dale, and then play the Rafiki, so you get rid of basically a free card here.
I do
And
like
now
that.
Rapunzel's a dead card in your hand, and that's definitely a scary thing to see.
Yeah, that was navigated quite well. I like that. Still playing around that Rapunzel. You're tapping the finger taps on that really cool mat. I like this mat a lot with that Earl is playing. I like both of these mats here
Oh, that's
as the
fantastic.
Candio is rocking and rolling. I believe that's a Magic the Gathering mat there. Not sure what the
L's
character is.
maybe.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and ready to ink. We get one off the top. It's that Lilo. So is it time to start flooding? Is it time to start putting characters into the fray? Because as it stands right now, the Battle of the Bulge is being won by Earlmeister, who has 3 to your 1. And whoever has the most is probably going to end up winning, as we stated earlier. So your 1 Lawrence is looking feeble into the face of these 3 characters with that Fox ready to take down anything you got.
With that being said, though, it's kind of the reverse of what we saw in game one. I mean, DeCandio has tools in the hand,
Hmm.
like we saw in game one. Earl did, but unlike the other way around this time, where if uh, DeCandio can get rid of this board, other than like the Elsa, there's not a lot of things that will gain him that lore that he needs to get the win. But with Rapunzel and Doc in hand, there's a lot of tools to get reloaded and just take over the game a little bit late round. So
Mm.
the Candios are taking a little bit the approach that we saw in game one with Earl, that we kind of play patiently. You gotta make sure you have the right time to quest and right time to gain an advantage, and that's exactly what he's doing here. Playing the cards like Lawrence to make sure, like, hey, if you do turn a card sideways to quest, I'm gonna get you, and the chances of you finding that rabbit, it's low. But there's not a lot of drawing options for Earl once he plays. He does go wide, so definitely just something to be looking out for with it. For Doc and Rapunzel being in the hands, so the
Mm.
Candy might feel a little comfortable being okay. I can go a little bit control the board heavy at first, and then kind of go wide when the time is right.
But is that beneficial, you think, playing this long game against Earl? Because I really believe that Earl's top end is a little bit better than DeCandio's top end.
That's
He's got
true.
those
That's
Elsas, he's
true.
got those Hades. If we get around that 12 ink area, or that 10 ink area, even 8 ink area, I think the momentum will start to shift towards Earl's strategy because he has way bigger top end guys, and I think you kind of have to manage the speed of it too. So you don't want to wait too long, but you don't want to go too fast. It's a real serious consideration of how you want to manage that. Because when we get to the late game, Earl's deck can really pick up some steam. You get those Mufasas down. You got a lot of heavy quester guys coming in at the
Absolutely.
10 ink range as we get into another Lilo. Do you keep spamming and slamming? What are you doing? Are you jamming another Lilo in here? Because he's not
Oh, this
giving
is
you
a
some
tough one.
Rapunzel options, man. He's playing around that Rapunzel expertly coming in from
He
Earl's
knows
side.
it. He knows it's coming. He's
Hmm.
seen it. So he has to play around it, like you said. But also, it's not an option. It's not out of the table to just like, okay, well, I can't Rapunzel, but I got Doc. I can still do something here, and that's an option that he has if he doesn't want to commit to Rapunzel just yet. But it's the game of how do you play around that Rapunzel that might be coming.
Mm. Yeah, I don't think you
And
can't go dock and neg yourself. If you're negging yourself on a dock at this point, I think that's just too much. Maybe you can bring the Rapunzel in just to sing the strength and go wide and start blowing up a character or two. Perhaps maybe you ink the Rapunzel if you just know your opponent's not going to give it to you. But just having a singer setup could be value in itself. It will be able to sing all the tunes you play in your deck,
that's
and
true.
I think that could have some added benefit if you just know your adversary is not going to give you an option to get some value from this thing. At least get some value in other ways. I think that could be a heads up maneuver as well. Let's see what he likes to do with it. Because again, you want to keep that pressure going. You're only at 2 on the lore counter. When you look down at that lore counter, you need that thing to be sitting. You're at 4 ink. Your opponent's at 5 ink. You need that thing to be at 12. You need to add a 10 to that thing, and it's just right now. It's just not where you want it to be. So it's an interesting turn here on what.
There's a weird world where we ink Rapunzel potentially to just like Strength of Raging Fire into a Lilo to get rid of like the Fox here. But I don't know if that's something you want to do. Well, there's an evasive card that you can't get rid of with your character. So it's just a situation that there's a lot of options, which is why DeCandio is taking his time here. I do believe because you're in this weird situation. It's like you have to ink something potentially, and the cards that you have in your hand you don't really want to get rid of because they're all going to be handy.
Hmm,
If you want to go wide, you can. It's just a tough one. Like I really wouldn't like. This is where the best
yeah.
is shown. Like
Yep.
I really don't know what the correct
I
answer
don't.
is,
I
and
have. I have.
DeCandio has to show
Yeah.
it.
You have to.
And
Yeah.
that's where the elite is the elite, right? That's where the best of the best is shown. And I do believe there's a chance that we see Rapunzel Ink, but that's such a free card draw that you might come up really, really soon. But again, that's another situation where there's nothing to really heal on the board as well, and you have nothing to. We're just gonna hard play Rapunzel, be like,
Yeah.
get rid of it,
I
see
like
ya,
I
and
do I
that's
do
good.
I do enjoy the play. I do like to play. Now you have that singer set up and you can't start your move. We get right into the shifty. Oh my goodness. That could be an
Oh, that's a
instant
big
an
play.
instant counter there as the Elsa the fifth spirit has come. And I think it's on curve too. You can shift this thing
Hmm.
this turn if you felt so inclined. You will lose your crab in the process, but man oh
That's
man,
okay.
you might tear this game wide open with that fifth spirit right
The
now.
Elsa is coming. The winter is here. The winter is coming. The winter is here, and I think that's where yeah, that's just sometimes we draw the good card and we turn things, yeah, and then we're just gonna go in onto uh yeah, that's Rapunzel right there, which is fantastic, and Calhoun not being able to gain that Oh,
Yeah.
we're getting rid of everything. We're just
And
getting rid of everything.
and now is your singer
That's the ship
too.
right here.
That's your singer
Yeah.
too. So now we're kind of into that top end. You got that Elsa Fifth Spirit, and you
Ooh.
do get to another song. And I believe no, you don't have enough. Well, I guess technically you could take it out this turn to really slow down the bleeding a little bit. If you slam that Lilo into the Fifth Spirit, hard cast, and get another card. Let's see what you draw. It's gonna be a Shmee, dude.
That's not the worst. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'll take a
that's
Shmee.
really not the worst. You get rid of the Elsa the turn of. Now you ink the Elsa, play a Mr. Shmi, and you're good. Like now the board is so much more manageable because right now your biggest problem is what, the Fox, and like you're not really worried about it anymore because you got a Strength of Raging Fire next turn potentially. It's just looking kind of decent with oh, and then we're just gonna draw with. Oh wow. Okay.
Oh
Just
man.
as that's what I was gonna say. You're running out of tools to play more, but you find rabbit into a friends on the other side. You are another rabbit. That's just you have solved all your problems going in. You were like, okay, I'm running out of weapons. Now I got more, and that's
That's
just
that was
exactly what
very
Earl wants to see.
very fortunate chain of draws there as the Candio has to be tilting a little bit. I'm not sure if he's capable of tilting, but I'd tilt there as you get to a friend into a rabbit into another rabbit situation into a goat as now you're bored again. You're up 3 on the board. You're winning the battle of the width as your board is quite large. As I'm checking the chat again, we got the ultra megatonic fans are in the building out there. Everyone holding it down,
Oh
representing Earl,
boy.
who's a pretty good streamer. He's a fantastic streamer.
Pete
Uh,
would have been so nice.
no,
He would have been so nice not so long ago. Wow. Ouch.
and look at
Things
that, dude.
get.
Look at that. Look at the battle of the Pete. Pete coming in, and it did little too late as the one of the 4 actions got Peted earlier and then missed Pete the second time. And it looks like we're
He
trying
wants
to
to
get some
dock
value
here.
out of that strength of the Raging Fire, but it might be a ink situation as you're gonna have to probably start jamming this dock
Yeah.
just to get some more cards and not get brutalized out of
And we
this
see a
game.
Daisy here. We're back online. We're back in the game just like nothing happened. And we do see a Cindy, which is not terrible.
That is not a bad
Uh
card. And you do have the ink to
you
put
get
it
to,
down, so you can set it up to sing Let Storm Rage on next turn. As we have 4 now, so you kind of even the board as well as we're keeping tabs of who's got
request
what.
2. Are we swinging or requesting? That's the big question. I mean, like, you want to get rid of Fox, but you also want to maintain a board state where you are kind of gaining lore, and it's exactly what he's gonna do. We just gotta do because you want to get rid of that Smee,
Hmm.
or do you want to just try to be like, okay, well, I have a head, I'm ahead, I'm gonna just go sideways. You have to deal
Yeah,
with me.
I like that
What do we
play.
do here?
I like that play a
Oh
lot.
my goodness, what a draw! Earl is cooking now. He said, "Baby, I got the luck this game." Oh my
I
goodness.
do like to play it though. Put questing the Smee instead of challenging. Have your opponent do the work for you, and you get that lore and have them crash into your board. I think might be a benefit there. But leaving that damage up is going to feed this Rapunzel a little bit, but just a small dinner. It's not a big meal like she wants to eat. That 3, just a 1 cost, and that's or one a
Oh
1 draw.
my goodness. Earl is cooking with these draws, everybody. Like, this has been a fantastic thing to see. He drew into a friends on the other side into another rabbit, which then saw a Rapunzel come in, and now he has a fox to basically bounce back that rabbit if need be, because that ain't no problem.
And
And those,
he can even take this rabbit to take down the Smee, get another card here. You are
it's
trading
true.
down, but you are getting some more value, and you will be able to take that 2 quester off the board. And then you can go for a fox bounce on the other one if you felt so inclined, but you only have really much else to swing into. But you're keeping your characters upright, and you get into the snake too. So you're gonna be bouncing all over the place. As it looks like you have some more damage. You're trying to think maybe is it Rapunzel time now? Or are you gonna get greedy again? What do you do?
I think you gotta. I think knowing your options here, you have a lot of cards. I think eventually Rapunzel will get you more draw power, especially if you strike at the right time. But I mean, granted, a lot of these cards are 3 willpower, so all you're gonna basically want to draw is an extra card. So it's just a option that Earl has. Like, am I gonna be greedy and get that extra card versus 2 extra cards? And
Right.
that's something that
Yeah. Well,
might come
even
out.
more so than the draw, I think just that 1/5 I think goes a long way. And that 1/5 quest for 2 might be what you need more than the draw at this point because you are up in cards. Your board is quite large. Now it's going to be on DeCandio to freaking break this thing down as you are holding two. Let's see what you want to do here. As we're going to, oh, excuse me, you're holding on to
So
one.
bring back the Lilo.
Bring him back to Lilo. I like that.
Drawing the one we saw Pete, which is okay. Knowing like we played one friends, the chances are low. Well, we're just gonna quest. Oh, we're
No,
gonna sing.
we're singing here to take out that other
Oh, the
fox, and
fox. That's great. What do we draw here? A daisy. See, that's a good option here. And we can play.
you got to play them both. Get them both down. If you can't, if you got the ink for it, yeah, get
Yes,
them
we
both
can.
in. And now you're winning the battle of the bulge again. The battle within the battle. Your board is wide, and can Earl somehow manage to break this thing? I don't know if he's got the tools. If you can get through this board, you can probably win because DeCandio has gone through a lot of the draw options. He has gone through some really, really good cards. And if you can manage to get through this thing, I don't know if you can in a favorable fashion. If you can, then you're going to have a nice smooth path to victory as we're all knotted up here at 4-4. Let's see if DeCandio elects to quest and put some more lore onto the scoreboard, or he'll just leave him how it is and pass it on over.
This is a area where usually your traditional aggro decks don't really want to be in. You don't want to see your opponent at the eight ink count because you don't have a lot of things that kind of get rid of those big bodies. But DeCandy has done a fantastic job of basically able to maintain the board state while not getting too behind. While Earl fortunately has been able to get so much card power, getting into another.
Oh,
Oh, a Chernabog. This is
oh man.
spicy.
Oh, this
He's
Chernabog is
counting
looking
that
so
discard.
good. Chernabog is looking so good, man, with that
If
Rapunzel
Chernabog comes
too.
out, I think there's not much that can
Oh
really get rid
man,
of
oh
that.
man, that it you probably can get through the Chernabog. You probably could find a way through the Chernabog, but when Chernabog
Oh,
and Rapunzel together, you're going to be able to heal that thing and
ooh.
just keep it going. He's going to be able to take down maybe 2 or 3 characters if you can get it up. As Earl's fine with making the exchanges here, clearing down some board, fueling this Chernabog. You probably can get him out relatively cheap as well. As we will send the Windy Darling to the inkwell. Bring yourself up to 8 ink. I'm not sure how many
He's
characters you have
counting.
in there. One,
One,
two.
two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Oh, he's coming down
and
for one, for
for
two.
7, we're playing Chernabog. Let's go. This is exactly the spice we were looking for in the Chernabog. Bring every character in your discard back to your deck. And guess what? Those cards that you just put back in, that's a few foxes. That's a rabbit in there.
It's an
There's some good
Elsa.
cards
It's
that
a
you
fifth
just
spirit in
discard.
there. It's some good units he just put back into that deck, man. And now you got to deal with this guy. I'm sure DeCandio was like, dang,
There's a
hopefully
rabbit.
we can't get this thing
Crazy.
on me, man. But now he's on you. And your board is looking still pretty sizable, but that Chernabog counts
17.
for at least 2 or 3 characters, I think, because
The,
he's not going down alone. He's taking a couple guys with him. Even if you
oh,
can
yeah.
get to a really strong strength of Raging Fire, I don't think it's going to be significant. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be.
Chernabog is crazy in our big year 2024.
Look
That's
at that.
fantastic spice. You draw the one of exactly when you want. This game 3 feels like Earl has been finding the answers he's looking for, and that's exactly what he needed to get this W. And as we got 2 damage, that's good.
We
We
get the mine.
potentially
That mine is looking terrible. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I try
that
to
mine
say
is the.
I try.
I'm trying to be positive here,
Yeah.
but that mine is not what you want to see if
Why
you're drawing.
breezy? Why breezy? I try to be as positive as I can when I'm sitting in this booth. I'm trying to be always positive in the booth, man. But that mine is looking horrible, man. I don't know what you're gonna do with that mine. Maybe you can just
Deal
put it
2
out there and
damage.
feast on the set up somebody to get some Rapunzel setups later. But I don't know what you're doing with that mine. As we're going to go ahead and send the Daisy on a quest here, giving another card up to Earl more than likely, and you're going to put the mine out potentially and maybe do some damage to somebody. I don't hate it, but it's
You
looking
get rid
not
of that
great, man.
rabbit. You get rid of that rabbit. I mean, like again, it's just another thing of like, oh, he found a rabbit. This is where the game changes, right? You find like 3 rabbits in a game versus not is the difference maker between winning and losing here. Because without those draw powers, Earl's hand would have been empty so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the pace in which he's able to do the things have been so significantly more powerful because of those the animal package with the goats. I mean the rabbits in this scenario with the foxes. So it's been a fascinating game for Earl, and this is where DeCandio doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to see his opponent be in the late game because his biggest removal tools are the 2 damages, 3 damages that he has. So it's been a difficult thing to get out. And the funniest thing is he can bounce a Chernobog, which is
Yeah,
hilarious.
and he can just go Rapunzel and go for 3
Draw
right
three
here too,
more.
which is just misery incarnate, man. You got to deal with this thing all day, every day. And I believe he has enough ink to commit some more characters to the board. And this is just looking like demise. But DeCandio still does have a path to victory. I mean, just continuing to grow the board, continue to stay patient, sticking to the plan, not get overwhelmed. Maybe there's a way you can get around this thing, but eventually you're going to have to quest, and that Chernobog is going to continue to feast, and Earl's hand is completely replenished, and you are completely out of resources. It is looking downhill. It's never over, but man, oh man, it is looking grim as these healths on these characters are so staggering too. 5, 5, and a 9. What are we even talking about? Like, no song you can sing, and there's no strength of a raging fire. You can be a
Oh,
man all
and
you
we got
want.
Spirit and the
Dang.
fifth Spirit to really, really get more damage into potentially
You probably can
anything we want.
You could take out that Cinderella, but you will be putting yourself well, no, it's evasive, so it can't even swing back on it. Just take off
No, you just
another
get rid
song.
of that Daisy. Yeah, absolutely. Get rid of that big 2 lore gainer because now
Mhm.
your board is what 2, 3 lore per turn, and like that's not gonna do anything
It's
for how fast Earl is gonna get to 20 real soon, especially with as we see a rabbit and a friends on the other side where it can really replenish everything that you just throw up in the cart in your board. So it's not looking the best for our NA hero
yeah,
here, unfortunately, but I would like to believe that there's a chance that something happens, but it's looking quite grim. It's just one of those games where your deck gives you the answers you're looking for, and that's what Earl's deck did this game, which
absolutely.
is funny because that's exactly what they were talking about before the game started, and we have seen this happen the other way around, where he did find the answers he's looking for at all times.
And yeah, this is looking quite tough. I don't sense there's a path you can get anymore as you're going to just go on quest for 2. I guess you could move some characters over to the mine to just do 1 damage, but it's not gonna. I think it's a little too little, a little too late. You're gonna have to get, I don't know, be prepared, whole new world situation, and
Which
have
none of them are available for you,
you
and
just don't have it. You,
it's not looking too great. It's just again, it was similar to game one where DeCandio didn't find those outs to other than a singular dock and a Rapunzel.
hmm
He didn't see the draws that he was looking for to get more resources. Unlike Earl, where you saw a friends on the other side, bunch of rabbits. It's just a grueling set of cards that just replenish the hand and. In a battle of going wide, you want to be able to go wide with these cards, and if you don't have any cards in your hand, you can't go wide. You can't get fatter, and it's just can't eat.
yeah,
And so it's just been an unfortunate series of events for NA Hero, but it's really nice to see Earl's deck really start humming like he planned when
for
building this
sure,
deck.
for sure.
So
Because after speaking to Earl in some of the other matches, he was saying he didn't really have a lot of time to put a lot of preparation into this tournament. Just kind of had a set 5 deck,
bounce back
added
to
added a few
alpha.
uh, added a few set 6 cards and just kind of roll with it. And the deck didn't get an opportunity to shine. But it was nice, as you stated, to kind of have the opportunity to see what Earl was at least attempting to cook with this deck and allowing it to demonstrate its strategy. And it seems quite effective, especially versus this low to the ground aggro deck. He was able to
Absolutely.
withstand the early game, and then resist and then draw the right cards and then get into his top end, which is Chernobog. When you got Chernobog on you and you got a mine train, he's gonna look at that train, he's gonna snatch that thing right up out of the ground and just move
That's
on.
7 lore this turn. I mean, that's kind of game over here,
Yeah,
right? It's just one of those things. It's like mate on two. It's just we got this turn, and the next is game over. Because you're not going to be able to remove uh 2 Rapunzels and a Chernobog in the next turn with what you have available into your arsenal. So the best outcome for Earl here is just quest and win. And just make sure you have no answers. I don't think DeCandio has a lot of options to take this over, knowing the situation.
yeah. He could
So
just blow up the whole board too and just get rid of everything and just leave him with nothing, and then definitely have a smooth path
and
to
that's what he's
victory.
doing right
Yeah,
now.
and
But
just
it does feel like the game is written as, and
yeah.
he's making a sad face with his dice as we saw,
That's-
and it is definitely how the game felt for him. It's just finding the 2 damage. Like, what do we do? Like, what are the options? I do appreciate players playing it out, obviously,
yeah,
and we saw the Rapunzel
a little
so
too
so
late.
so 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 late, and that's the way it goes sometimes, ladies and gentlemen.
And we'll
This is
just
just the way the cookie crumbles.
have to
Wow.
scoop it up there, man. Very sad for NA, but great matchup all around though still. I love the internal game within the game that we were able to see as both players were trying to demonstrate their strategy. Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, it did not go well for the NA team as we are now down again in another round. We got to wake up, man. We got to wake up. We got to lock in. It's not over. It's not over. But man, oh
It's not
man,
over.
they're coming in hard. These EU players are coming in ready to ball. Shout out to both of these players. We're going to see if we can get them into the booth and maybe they
Let's
can give us some
go.
feedback and talk about that matchup.
Some yappenings.
Hello.
Hello,
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 hello.
hello. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the booth with myself, JDZ, and Y Breezy. Who am I speaking? I'm trying to see. I'm trying to get into my Discord right now.
Got DeCandio and Earl on the booth with us. Well, first of all, great games. Great showing. But I just want to take a little moment to kind of get a breakdown of what happened and what do we think went wrong
Right.
with the situation, Mr. DeCandio.
Oh, game one, I didn't see anything that drew cards or like that, like no
Mhm.
Doc, Rapunzel, or Storms to kind of get things going. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of you can fall flat kind of if that doesn't pan out in any kind of way. So it can be a little rough there, but yeah, I don't know, it was fine. I mean, just I didn't draw any card draw, and they eventually ground me out.
Yeah.
How did you,
Okay.
DeCandio? How did you feel going into this matchup, man? I know it's probably on paper it might be kind of favorable if you can get the right cards, but it just seems like he's got some built-in counters to what your deck is trying to do. Talk about that matchup. What was your game plan going into it, and how do you feel overall that matchup should be? Either are you favored, or are you behind? What do you think?
Oh, I have no idea. The crabs are really good. Crabs Fox is hard, kind of obnoxious to deal with. The fact that he has Diablos instead of brooms is a bit better for me because then the Diablo can't eat Daisy with crab triggers, so
Mm.
that's a little bit good. I think overall it's a fine matchup for my deck. I mean, again, anything can happen, and the bounce stuff can be tricksy around trying to self damage with challenging, like with Lawrence, like you saw in the last game. I think is what happened when he was able to kill it with Rafiki plus Elsa. And that was just the nature of me having that a turn late. I think to the party. I didn't have any characters in play to strength my own Lawrence. I didn't have like a one. Didn't have the 1-2 curve to kind of do that. So
Yeah.
because the plan was just to strength the Lawrence and then heal up for 3.
Mm.
Rarely do I want to like with strength do anything but that typically because again he can avoid a lot of interaction by just with snakes and foxes. Really
Right.
hard to deal with, or just having evasive cards like genies or Elsas and stuff. But no, I mean it's fine. I mean I don't know. I wouldn't say expect it to be good or not. I mean we both I think made changes to our deck list since the beginning of this. I think would help. Like I added Akitas to this deck, the 5-cost Kita, which is
Okay.
dramatically changes how the game plays out. Just like we get to a board state like we saw in game one, and I just instead of not doing anything, just quest with everything, and then play Kita, and he can't do much of anything against that. And the game ends instantly. But yeah, without that, it can be tough. But no, I mean it was fine. Games were good. I
Okay.
don't know if I had too many things I could have done differently. I could have mulliganed a little more aggressively in game 3 for a 1, but it's not crucial. I don't think to have a 1 in that specific situation. It may have been a little awkward there with not being able to strength and then heal on turn 4, but things can happen, you know. But yeah,
Absolutely, and you played it as well as you could, man. I think just the way the cards were flowing, I think it was you did everything you could do. But Earlmeister, I want to throw it over to you real quick. You had some struggles in the first 3 rounds of this tournament. Your deck wasn't able to demonstrate its capability, but man, oh man, in this game, especially in that game 1, that game 3, you were able to hit that mid game. You started off with some serious uninkability, and you fought through it and ended up with a huge card advantage and a very very wide board. Is that what you kind of have tailored this deck to do? And congratulations on your win. You want to talk about that real quick? And what did you think initially going into this matchup? Did you feel confident, or did you feel still more of that 50-50 area?
Honestly, like this is one of the things that I use on my daily gameplay is I rely a lot on my knowledge with archetypes and the
Hmm.
way they interact with each other. On game one, on my first match, it's a mid range versus a control deck. I have to utilize the aggro side of my deck in order to win that matchup. But I got really unlucky with my draws with that match. I made it as close as it can be, but that matchup, mid range versus control, you have a timer, and I'm not a fast mid range, right? My deck is
Right.
more of like a mid range. So when the timer gets to a certain point, it's really hard for me to finish those type of matchups. My other two rounds with blue steel is just unfortunate. The biggest weakness of a mid-range deck is this I would classify as a true mid-range. It's in the very middle, and that is more of a mid-range control. They have tools to keep up with the board to create momentum, and they have a heavier end in terms of like control cards, and the timer is much faster on those matchup, and I got two of them, so that was tough. This one, it's not that I'm confident. I mean, it's DeCandio. I'm scared. Like I talked to him about this on stream, but going into the match, of course, I don't think about any of those emotions. I just lock in. This one is more of like a 50 match because we're both mid range. He's on the faster side of things, obviously, with the daisies and stuff. And honestly, it really came down to we both play very well. And it all came down to the luck of the draw. It's like what Brennan said on game one. He didn't draw any card draws. You guys saw my hand on game one after Mulligan. I
Yeah.
had 6 uninkables, right?
Tough look.
If the daisies didn't give me inkables, I could have easily bricked and lose that match. So the draws that I got after turn 1 and 2 and 3 helped me a lot get on the board, and I basically just try to stabilize as much as I can after that, and hope that he doesn't go way too vroom vroom, that I would have time to catch up. And that's exactly what happened on game one.
Absolutely, and it was a very very interesting matchup. I had a great time watching it. I saw you guys really going at it, trying to not give each other value with those Rapunzels. You were able to kind of get some value out of Rapunzels, but we saw you ink those foxes. Can you talk about those plays, inking the Rapunzels, inking the foxes? Because I think in that game too, you probably could have got a little bit more value out of those foxes had you kept them around. You want to just talk about that a little bit before we toss it back over to DeCandio. DeCandio, I keep saying DeCandio. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm so sorry.
They're good. Depends on where you're from. If you want to say it that way, if you're from the southern part of Italy, then sure you can say that.
Yeah. So the decision with that is that I just it's amber amethyst, and it's not an aggro version, meaning I can run as much draws as I can with Rapunzel's, Genie, Merlin, Freunde im Schattenreich, right? I have all these cards that can draw. So inking Rapunzel is not a big deal. Eventually, I will be able to draw. What's more important for me is tempo at this point, making sure that if he goes wide, I can match that, and making sure that I'm having big bodies on the board. Now, whenever I ink Fox, I always think like, is Fox going to be relevant on my following turn? Because if he doesn't exert, the Fox is going to be quite useless, right? It's better to just keep the bodies that can keep developing the board, because at the end of the day, Fox is nice when people exert, and DeCandio is 10 times smarter than that. He's not going to exert if he knows that I could get value with my trades, and he always plays around my Fox. So I'm not gonna wait for the Fox to get the value. Instead, I would just ink it to keep getting more inks, to keep developing my board, going wide and going big. And that's basically my thought process when I was inking those cards.
All right, sounds good. I like it, man. I like it. I enjoyed the match a lot. I thought you both played exceptionally well. And as always, since I've been doing this commentary, being in these booths and watching these high profile games, I've learned quite a bit. So I just want a little bit of feedback. I keep asking this question, and I'll throw it over to White Breezy. I know I'm jumping in, taking all the questions, but I have this on the front of my mind. But DeCandio, going into, I know you have the CSS coming up this weekend, and you also have the national tournament coming up in a few months. Would you be considering taking a deck like this? Is there information you want to? I know you want to keep it all close to the chest, and you did mention Akita. Would you consider taking a deck like this, and what other changes would you make without completely doxing yourself or revealing too much of your strategy?
I mean, I'd consider it, yeah, for sure. I haven't really done any other changes other than Kita, I guess. Any kind of testing I've done. So, no, nothing besides that. Changed a couple numbers here and there. It's a fine deck. It's a deck that can definitely get under pretty much everything because you have the aggressive start plus Cindy Storm. It's like the good half of Steel Song that's against the slower decks, but you also can fall prey if you miss some of that tempo. Or if you saw in that last game, essentially, like the last game was the game that I actually had the songs and no Cinderella, so it's kind of like the inverse of the problems I had. The rest of the other two games were like I had Cinderella but no songs. But yeah, I mean, it can definitely be flexible and play through a lot of things and doesn't give your opponent a bunch of cards in hand. But typically, these types of decks fall prey to a slightly slower version of themselves. Kind of we saw against Frank. While he, there's some what's the word? Some kind of give and take with him having Whole New World, like that. That's like a liability, is what I was looking for against me. In general, like those kind of decks have a lot more play to them as far as like playing a longer mid-range game goes, where I kind of do peter out and I do need some parts of the card draw, whether it be planning with docks or getting Rapunzel's off pretty early to like keep me going, as you say, going wide. As I was not really able to do as much as I want. There was times when my board was quite large, but he was able to match it because I hadn't done it earlier. But yeah, I mean, Continentals is still, we have like just under 30 days, so I have some time to figure things out. The CCS event, that's this weekend. I leave tomorrow morning. I don't know, I might be playing this deck just because I want to try it out again with some changes to see if it's good. Or I'll play something else entirely different just to try something else. But yeah, I mean, where North America is, where as opposed to where EU was, there's always a bit more. I mean, I think they even said it when we were talking to them for this event that North America loves steel decks, and that kind of skews their perception of how they build their decks against us and ours in some way too. You saw like Zan and Dale both like cutting an Ursula because we didn't expect many people to be on song decks, like, and they weren't. So it's kind of funny. Like we metagamed against each other a little bit in that sense, but yeah, I don't know. We're gonna see. I think the event this weekend. We're going to be having a bit of data. I mean, I imagine people who are in that area are going to play what they like to play. I'm sure no, I'm not just going to play Ruby Amethyst again. Go figure, but it'll be fine. We'll just kind of see what develops from there. And if we get any kind of sense of shape or form, it'll be potentially the same, potentially wildly different when we get to not just the LCQs, but the event itself. Like, I think that, funny enough, we saw a reaction to the LCQs at the EU event itself, where like the first wave of LCQs, like 7 or 8 of the 16 people that qualified were playing Amber Steel variants, and that's why we saw so many blue-red decks in that tournament, because they all thought that everyone's going to play the Amber Steel, or maybe they were on it the whole time, who knows, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's an evolving metagame.
I'm trying to tell you, this set 6 metagame is unlike I've ever seen in any other trading card game, because this thing is alive and breathing. Like you said, it's going to be up to the moment, up to the date. Whatever happens here, whatever happens at CCS, whatever happens at LCQ, whatever happens at the set championships, whenever they start, it's all going to keep evolving this thing, because there's so many viable cards and so many viable strategies that people can come out and play and have great success with. So I'm interested to see how it shapes out. I know there are going to be a lot of players doing their thing, doing what they do best, but there could be something out there that is still undiscovered, untapped, and that could also be developed and make a great run in these tournaments. So I'm super excited. I'm absolutely here for it in the next couple days and weeks, man. I'm ready.
Exciting.
I'm gonna take a nap between now and like the week of the event and just see what everyone else does.
Go on a spirit quest, man. Go on a voyage. Go on a journey. You're one of the thought leaders, man. You got to get back into the lab and start cooking. Get back in the lab and start cooking, man. We need the spice coming from you. Okay, I'm checking your YouTube every day. I haven't seen an upload.
Or Patreon. Don't forget Patreon.
You know, I'm checking. I'm not seeing any uploads. I need to see the spice, man. So we're waiting on you to come out there and drop it. I'm sure that you got something that you're going to hide away for the special tournaments. Too hot to see. All right. Well, White Breezy, you got anything else you want to ask before we let these players go and get on about their day?
I think you covered everything I was looking for. I do want to mention like game three, Earl. He
Mhm.
got that perfect link of like you rabbit and then find the friends on the other side. What are those like moments feel like where you're just like, okay, I'm back, baby? Because things were looking green when you only had a rabbit and a crab in hand, and all of a sudden your two card in hand went to seven.
Yeah. At that
What are we
point, I
feeling? How
didn't.
are we doing? How's that feel?
At that point, I didn't really care much about card advantage. It's more of like I just wanna find more tools. Sometimes draw doesn't matter because the draw would find you tools. If you get the tool instead, then you wouldn't have to play any draw cards anymore to find them, right? I prefer it
Yeah.
that way on this match because like I got ahead because he didn't have a turn one play
Mhm.
early, but it's a nice insurance as well to get it. Of course, I'm not complaining, but yeah, I got really ahead on that match because of not having a turn one play for Brennan is tough. And I know like we were talking and he's just telling me you just quest on this, right? And I'm like, yeah, but like I respect you so much that there
Oh, I
might
was on
be
zero.
like some spicy move that he's gonna do that will make me like fall behind. And that's just my only reasoning. And sure, I should have just quested there at the last turn, but I would be able to percent lethal either way. So I'd
Right.
rather like just take out the board, be safe, and just finish just like that
Absolutely.
the next
Absolutely.
turn.
Absolutely. Well, I got to say again, congratulations for you getting that ultra megatonic dub here in round number
Oh.
4.
Finally, right?
Getting that win in the win column is super important, and letting people know that the deck does kind of function. You know what I'm saying? People were doubting the Amber Amethyst strategy, but those purple cards are good enough sometimes, especially when they come in the correct order. And congratulations on your dub and moving on. I think Top Cut, you might not be able to make that, but you know what I'm saying? It was a great performance nonetheless. And thank you so much for providing your time to this thing. You guys don't have to do this, and the community really appreciates you guys sacrificing your time, especially around this critical time in the year, to come out here and entertain us with some Lorcana, and we do all appreciate it mightily. So good luck to you, DeCandio, down there in Atlanta. Hopefully you go home, go out
The
there,
dub
represent
back to
well,
back.
get the dub, bring the cash, and showcase that to the world so we can see what the meta is going to be like. And Earlmeister, thank you so much to you as well.
Yeah, thank you guys for doing this. Casters, the judges, Pavel, you guys made all this happen, and it's an honor to be a part of this. Honestly, I had a great time, win or lose. You know, I'm always usually laughing and having a great time with whoever I play against. So
Absolutely,
thank
absolutely.
you.
Absolutely. All right, all right, all right. Why, Breezy? You got anything else you say before we wrap this thing up and shut it on down before we take this quest somewhere else?
Well, first of all, honored to do this
Of course.
casting gig. I waited my time. I was looking for the perfect matchup, and I think I found it with DeCandio and Earlmeister here. So thank you for showing us a beautiful game, 3 games match here. Thank you for doing this with us, and yeah, it's been an honor and pleasure doing this with you. And yeah, that's it. The fantastic experience, fantastic time. I can't wait to see what happens in the continuation of this tournament. And
Absolutely.
DeCandio, win that. Wait, go back to back. You're back to back champion. Got to do it again. Like you gotta have 2 back to backs on you. So you're back to back to back.
Let's do it.
Playing
I think he got what it
zero
takes. I think he got what it
No.
takes. I think he got what it takes. And huge shout out to the judge again, Elio. Huge shout out to Phil holding it down in the booth and everyone else who made this thing happen. But to you at home, if you're still watching the stream, if you like what you see, make sure you go ahead and throw a follow down on the stream. I'm JDZ. I'm going to be on a quest. Okay. So I stream here periodically. I got a lot of great things I plan on doing on this channel. So if you want to be a part of that, go ahead and throw me a follow and give me some support. I will appreciate it in the future. But if we're all clean here, that's all I have. Thank you all for your time. Thank you all for your viewership. Until the next time, I'm JDZ. I play goats while on a quest. Until next time, shout out to all the real ones. Salute to the OGs and peace.